piece of legislation. Before I start on the main body of my speech, I'd like to say that this bill, Mr. Speaker, is presented to this House at a time when the whole matter of contribution sociale généralisée is being taken up in the courts, actively being taken up in the courts, with two cases, one for judicial review, another one a constitutional case. These two cases are ongoing against the contribution sociale généralisée. Here we come in Parliament, we just take out the généralisée and we keep contribution sociale, and we present a bill which I consider, Mr. Speaker, that the procedure may be valid, but it is certainly inelegant. It is certainly disrespectful of our Supreme Court, and in my view, Mr. Speaker, it is unethical. We should have waited for the courts to give their verdict, to give their opinion on the CSG regulations, and then come with a bill in this House. Now, Mr. Speaker, I've listened carefully to the speech of the Minister of Finance, full of promises of things to come, but not answering, regretfully, any of the qualms, of the apprehensions of experts in the field of pensions, of actuaries, and the like, of tax experts. Not even one word, Mr. Speaker, to enlighten the House here before the bill is passed, as to whether he agrees or disagrees with so many of the objections that have been raised outside in the House, in the press only a few days ago, by actuary Bernard Yen, for instance, and others. So, Mr. Speaker, are we therefore to have to wait till his closing speech when it's too late? As you know, there'll be 4 ministers speaking at the end of this debate, no member of the opposition. That is when he is likely to answer the objections raised around Mauritius, or will he not answer at all? And will he just completely ignore because he has no answer to the objections raised? Because he has no idea as to how sustainable this pension that is being proposed, this contribution sociale that is being proposed, will hold out in the future. Whereas, therefore, Mr. Speaker, that is what we must deduce, that this is all being brought in haste and without adequate thought and adequate planning. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we were all enlightened by what the Prime Minister said, I think it was yesterday, the day before, in court, saying that it had the promise made in November 2019 at this famous old age pensioners meeting. I think it was in Vivekananda, if I'm not wrong, whereby, in fact, the pension would be doubled to 13,500 rupees. That was made, Mr. Speaker, without going to cabinet, without informing the then Minister of Social Security. In fact, nobody, it seemed, but the Prime Minister had thought of it. So that shows, Mr. Speaker, that it was made in haste, and it was made without consultation and without planning. And this is, Mr. Speaker, one of the issues, probably the main issue relating to this particular bill and this particular pension or CSG that is being proposed. Mr. Speaker, not a word had been said at that time about how this promesse mirobolante of doubling the pension for old age pensioners, it's not quite what has been done today, how this was to be financed. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say also that in reaction to what the Prime Minister had announced at the time, the Alliance Nationale, of which I'm a member, made a similar promise, that we would raise the pension to, I think it was 14,000 rupees at the end of this mandate. We did make the same, but with a big difference, Mr. Speaker, that we took the pain, the trouble to explain to the population how this would be financed. We took the pain and the trouble to explain how it would be financed. through growth, which is important. Growth determines pensions. When you look at the pension in the UK, the basic retirement pension in the UK is 32,000 rupees per month, equivalent. Nobody bothers about it, because UK has such a strong economy that it can easily bear the 32,000 rupee basic retirement pension. So growth, prosperity is the key to pension payments, Mr. Speaker. The second thing we said, we would reduce wastage in public, reduce le train de vie de l'État. And you can see, Mr. Speaker, only looking at this budget here, that instead of reducing the train de vie de l'État, this government has gone on a wild spending spree. On a wild spending spree. Safe City, Godot Stadium, MIC, wherever. Big spending spree, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, no reduction of ineffective expenditure, and of course, no elimination of corruption. And these are all things that we said we would do, Mr. Speaker, to reach, without pain, the 14,000 rupee pension that l'Alliance Nationale had promised to the nation, and we will